Because of the storm god, Zeus, at the Suez Canal, he pushes everything toward the east. And the sea goes east to west. And you end up here, over here in the west. That's the source of everything in our world history, classical literature, or biblical. All the stories you are going to encounter all over the world, which ended up here. The Libyans, who used to be in the Sahara Desert, in Libya, in Egypt, they ended here on the Pacific side of Mexico around the 900 BC period, coming out of the land of Egypt with all the treasures of Egypt. Took out of Palestine and Israel with Shishak. In the book of Kings, it talks about that. And that was around the 900 BC period. Shishak, king of Egypt. His people were great on the earth. They had boats and sea. They were from the Poseidon. The people of Libya believed in the god of the sea, who the Romans now call Neptune. They came from Phoenicia. They believed in Dagon, who the Greeks called Poseidon, the Romans called Neptune. They had a sea god of the sea. In the Bell cycle, he's called Yam. In the Bible, he's called Ham, son of Noah, okay? The ancestor of the African people. That is the people who will be called the Olmecs, the original people of the pre-Columbian era of America. In the Book of Mormon, called this place Zarahemla, the land of the Jaredites, who the later, after the 600 BC period, after the destruction of the Jaredites, who was an ancient race of people. Jared in the Bible is the father of Enoch, the seventh from Adam who ascended to heaven. And I say in the Egyptian hieroglyphs, he's called Toph, the Atlantean. Toph, the Atlantean, biblical Enoch, seventh generation of Adam. In the first 1,000-year period, from the first seal, from the first 1,000 years when Adam was on the earth. And his return, he's now the Archangel Metatron in heaven with the rapt of heaven. He's from the first seal. And Ephesus, the tree of life, in paradise of God, okay? And each seal is 1,000 years. So now, I'm in the 21st century at the end of this sixth seal right here. Which is called Philadelphia, who opens the door to the New Jerusalem, a pillar in the temple of God, okay? The first seal was Ephesus, the tree of life, the paradise of God. And now, I am here, the sixth seal, that opens the door to the New Jerusalem, a pillar in God's temple at Philadelphia. Originally, the Greeks called Ammon Jordan, where the children of Israel passed over the Jordan River at Ammon in Jordan. That is called Philadelphia. That's where the word Philadelphia comes from. Philadelphus, Ptolemy Philadelphus, a king of Egypt in the Ptolemaic period. And the Greeks were mixed with the Egyptians through intercourse, through marriage. Alexander the Great's mother, Olympia, with Nectanebo II, the last of the pharaohs, okay? And the enmity has ever been since this relationship, because Olympia was a married woman who was put away by her husband, and she was no longer with her husband, King Philip, who was the king of Macedonia in Greece. This is the enmity. The white nations hate the Egyptian pharaoh because of this, because he blessed this woman who was accursed in her own land. And that's like Christ in the church right now. You get the Christ story. Mary Magdalene was that same woman. Just like Olympia came to Anectanambo at the temple of Amun-Ra when he was arrayed like the god Amun. In Jesus Christ's name we say amen. And so it's the same thing. The Christ figure is like Alexander the Great, being put to death because of the woman is a cursed woman from where she's come from. She's a harlot. She's a woman that's being put away by her husband, like Olympia was during the day of Alexander being born. That's how Christ was. His family was being executed and annihilated because of the same enmity. He was going to be an illegitimate child in the kingdom of the Greeks and the Romans. And he will only come out to be of the people they are trying to conquer and put away and trying to mass annihilate and destroy these people. So he had a curse on them in the Roman Empire, and they were not going to allow him to be in his tradition Hebrew. The kingdom of Israel no longer ruled on the earth no more. So, and that's why that was taking place. The kingdom of Israel came to its end in the 4th seal. And that was the rise of the Romans and the Greeks and the Romans. The Greeks first and then the Romans. And the league at Sparta, okay, that was the 4th seal at Thyatira, the power over the nations. The iron rod, the morning star. Seal 4. The pale horse, the rider called death. Hell followed him. Had power over a fourth of the earth to kill with the sword. Hunger, beast of the earth. Revelation 6, 7 through 8. So that fourth, the north, was that 1/4, where that pale rider on the pale horse ruled over the north. From the northern quarters. That's the Greeks, that's the Romans, that's the Nordic people. That's when they began to have their authority. See, what happened to the children of Israel is that all of those tribes began to go to war with one another. So when I say the Olmecs in Mexico, who come from Africa and Libya and Egypt, that's the children of Israel. The children of Israel went they was pushed from the Suez Canal, which I said is Zeus. The storm god pushes them by sea. Joseph and the Israelites. It's like they say Jason and the Argonauts. That's what the Greeks going to tell you. When they began to rule over Egypt after Alexander the Great, they Hellenized the story. They Hellenized everything. But these people, the children of Israel, they spread all over the earth, but they didn't obey God the right way. And they began to war with one another over some ancient enmity. Like the War of the Roses. They are fighting for the blessing of their father. And one son hated the other because his blessing was greater. Joseph received the blessing from his father, and his brothers from the lesser wives like Dan and Gad, they had enmity for him because their blessing wasn't so good from their father. Now I was reading this on the last note. This is where I'm going to close out at. It's in the book of Genesis. Joseph in the Bible had a different name in his original form. He maybe was called Dejahuti, the vizier to the Pharaoh. He became the ruling class. The vizier was the Pharaoh's judge. So Joseph got the blessing over his brothers in the Bible, in Genesis, which would be, let me see, that would be the beginning of the 3rd seal. Okay, in the 3rd seal, Joseph and the Israelites, 1876 BC. In the 19th century before Christ, okay, that story. But I said it's in Genesis chapter 48 and 49. This story. I'm going to close out on this. Jacob blesses his sons. All right. The vote to... Okay, here we go. Let's read 48. He says, now it came to pass after these things that Joseph was told, indeed, your father is sick. And he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. Jacob was told, look, your son Joseph is coming to you. And Israel strengthened himself and sat up on the bed. And then Jacob said to Joseph, God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me and said to me, behold, I will make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will make of you a multitude of people and give this land to your descendants after you as an everlasting possession. And now your two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born to you in the land of Egypt. Start right there. So the children of Israel, land of Egypt, they are the original inheritors from the ancient world, when all of those other nations that warred over Egypt, all the children of Mizraim, Canaan, Lud, and everybody that was in Egypt, they couldn't stay there in Egypt because it was a war zone over the gold and over the treasure and over the Nile River. Everybody couldn't stay there. That's why I say we're dispersed all over the world now. Egypt became a place of bondage and a cruel place to be because of somebody who became king who didn't know how to rule the country the right way after the tribes of Israel left out of their place. But they are the ones who the land belonged to, the Hebrew. So he says, blessed in the land of Egypt, before I came to you in Egypt are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. Your offspring whom you begat after them shall be yours. They will be called by the name of their brothers in their inheritance. But as for me, when I came from Padan, Rachel died beside me in the land of Canaan on the way. Then there was but a little distance to go to Ephrath. And I buried her there on the way to Ephrath. That is called now Bethlehem. Then Israel saw Joseph's sons and said, who are these? Joseph said to his father, they are my sons whom God has given me in this place. And he said, please bring them to me and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim with age so that he could not see. Then Joseph brought them near him and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, I had not thought to see your face, but in fact God has also shown me your offspring. So Joseph brought them from beside his knees, and he bowed down his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim with his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh with his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near him. Israel stretched forward his right hand and laid it on Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, guiding his hands knowingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has fed me all my life long to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil. Bless the lads. Let my name be named upon them. His name was called Israel. Israel. Who did he bless? He blessed Manasseh and Ephraim. But his left hand was on Manasseh. His right hand was on Ephraim. This would become a problem later. I'm going to tell you why. But let me continue the story. In my name, let my name be upon them, in the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. Now, when Joseph saw that his father